Afghanistan has constantly been in turmoil for the past few decades, and now following the recent withdrawal of Western forces, the country has rapidly been overtaken by the Taliban. I'm sure we have all seen the heartbreaking and terrifying scenes recently emerging from Kabul, Afghanistan's capital, with thousands of civilians swarming the airport in a final attempt to flee the country. Shortly following the Taliban's takeover, Afghanistan's airspace has been closed to all commercial flights, and all scheduled flights into or out of the country have been suspended. In this video, I will try to highlight why the Afghan airspace closure is bad news and also give some updates on how aviation is being impacted there. Two and a half years ago, Afghanistan's neighbor Pakistan temporarily closed its airspace amid escalating tensions with India. This temporary closure had huge implications as all of the airlines who transited Pakistani airspace on various routes were forced to reroute, divert, or cancel their flights altogether. The airspace situation with Afghanistan is pretty much exactly the same when we look at how it affects transiting aircraft. Flights operating from Europe to Far East Asia or the Middle East to Far East Asia, for example, heavily utilize Afghani and Pakistani airspace at some point. This is because the most direct flight path routing involves flying over these countries. Once Afghanistan shut down its airspace, airlines were forced to find alternate and longer routings and as a result spend more money on fuel. To put into perspective how significant this situation is, here's Virgin Atlantic Flight 378, which operates from London Heathrow to Islamabad, Pakistan. On its usual routing, the flight at some point transits through Afghanistan airspace and normally takes between 6.5 to 7 hours to complete. This was the flight's path back on August 14th when things were somewhat normal. Just 2 days later, when Afghanistan closed down its airspace, this was the resulting flight path. Instead of traveling straight across Iran, then Afghanistan into Pakistan, the 787 flew further south over the Persian Gulf before entering Pakistani airspace. It then turned back north so it could fly up to Islamabad. This normally 7-hour-long flight now takes 9 hours to complete, all because one country closed down its airspace. Some airlines are being hit harder than others with this airspace shutdown. Let's take Air India for example, who back in 2019 were heavily impacted by the Pakistan airspace closure, and now 2 years later, history seems to be repeating itself in almost the exact same way. Earlier this week on Monday, Air India Flight 126 from Chicago to Delhi and Air India Flight 174 San Francisco to Delhi departed from the United States back when Afghanistan's airspace was still open. The flight crews were not anticipating any sudden flight deviations because everything seemed normal at the time of departure. As such, both planes were filled with enough fuel to make it back to India using the usual routing over Afghanistan. Once the news broke mid-flight that Afghan airspace had closed, the planes did not have enough fuel to deviate and still make it non-stop back to India. As a result, both flights diverted to Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates to refuel, and then afterwards they continued onwards to Delhi, both arriving around 4 to 5 hours late. As of today, August 19th, Air India have made all necessary adjustments to their US flights, meaning they are filling their aircraft up with extra fuel and like everybody else, they're completely avoiding flying over Afghanistan for the time being. So that was a brief update regarding the Afghanistan airspace closure and its implications, but what about the country's commercial flights? Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport is the only airport in the country currently operating and is being controlled by the US military. At the moment, all regular domestic and international flights are suspended due to obvious reasons, and the only aircraft allowed to land in Kabul are either military or relief flights. Similarly, Afghanistan's airspace is only open to these flights, so it's not super weird to see various US Air Force aircraft patrolling the skies over Afghanistan. Like the United States, various other countries have sent in their Air Force planes and also chartered commercial flights to Kabul as a means to evacuate their citizens. Afghanistan has two major airlines, the flag carrier Ariana Afghan Airlines and Comair. These airlines have fleets of 4 aircraft and 10 aircraft respectively, and all but 2 of them are grounded in Kabul. The 2 planes that are not yet grounded aren't grounded because they're not even in Afghanistan. The first aircraft is a Comair Airbus A340-300 registered as YAKMU, which departed Kabul for Mashhad, Iran on August 15th, just shortly before the airport closed down. As of now, the plane is still grounded in Mashhad and probably won't return until Kabul opens again to normal passenger service. The second aircraft was another Comair plane, a Boeing 737-300 registration YAKMK, which departed Kabul around the same time as the A340 did. However, this plane flew to Islamabad, Pakistan. As of now, that plane is still in Islamabad with no word on when it will ever leave back to Kabul. As of August 15th, there were 6 international carriers operating regular services into Kabul: Air Arabia, Emirates, Fly Dubai, Turkish Airlines, Air India, and Pakistan International Airlines. All of these airlines have suspended normal service to Kabul. However, Air India, PIA, Turkish, and even Qatar Airways, who don't normally serve Kabul, have recently operated special rescue flights. Pakistan International Airlines is currently the only airline still operating relief flights to Kabul, and they are mainly doing so with their Boeing 777 fleet. So far, PIA alone has evacuated over 1,100 people from Afghanistan this week, ranging from all sorts of nationalities, not just Afghans and Pakistanis. While the situation in Afghanistan seems to slowly be coming to a resolution, chaos still is ensuing at Kabul airport. All we can do right now to support the people of Afghanistan is to continue sending our thoughts and prayers to them, and of course continuing to spread awareness. I tried to make this video as unbiased and away from politics as possible, and if you just so happen to find this video offensive or disturbing, please accept my humble apologies. Anyway, I would like to thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed and consider subscribing for more videos, but until next time, I'll see you later.